My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Alrighty, this is the entity gang stalking on the roads and the highways. This is Holt Boulevard and Palm, and this is the entity that is stalking, flying over the intersection where I'm at and making that cartwheel, doing that U-turn. This is psychopathic pacing in the sky space. Pictures of the people of the state that I'm capturing through the neighborhoods. They're all being prosecuted. They are all simultaneously being documented. I'm capturing, in other words, documentation of a license plate indicating an entire area, a zone that's being federally prosecuted for gang stalking me, and it's identifying terrorists. This is P.O.C. They're all stalking.
That's why the airport, having no terminals, is engaging in stalking, flying over me. Stalking. Co-conspirators of murder. The police department is no police department. They're being disbanded. Co-conspirator of murder, and they're all gang stalking. Look at my shadows. These are all demons. 7S, 5, I can't really see that license plate. They're all stalking. Okay? This is P.O.C. I'm going to show you this African-American male. He's a serial stalker, so he's going to be from sleeping outside to sleeping in a cell. That's impossible light. It's not their headlights. Okay, he is indeed while the airport is flying over. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 5:34 a.m. and this is where you're getting on the bus stop, where you're subject to the pattern of conduct. There's no exception to it. It's not ceasing to exist, and it's not different where the entity is engaging in the same exact location, the same environment. And then you're getting on some different mode of transportation, or a person that looks different, or some sort of function such as being in the environment like you see with an ambulance, with a fire truck, or with a police vehicle. It's the exact same pattern of conduct. Those are the demons that are going to be stripped of the positions that they're in, while they've been systematically sacrificing people, murdering them, kidnapping them, stalking them, in doing so. Okay, this is impossible. That's moving across the wall. That has nothing to do with their headlights. These are demons. They're monitoring. All right? Monitoring spirits, which are, again, invisible, are made visible for you. They are exposed for you while you're looking at what the monitoring spirits are doing through people who are referred to under the law as people of the state. And they are engaging in what is state action, for which there is no warrant, no probable cause, no legitimate interest by the government to maintain surveillance of everyone, everywhere, at all times, which is what the P.O.C. proves. And it is the prosecution of the U.S. government. U.S. government that's acting via the dunces in Ontario, California. They're not bright at all. They're not bright. USPS comes around the corner. You already know that they're gang stalking. They come around the corner. USPS is over there. So they drove back around here in engineered light, very deliberate, impossible light moving about to engage in what is crossing path. That's the federal government that's gang stalking. That's the same U.S. government. P.O.C. Alrighty, this is the entity that's engaging in psychopathic pacing. 44676. Can't really see that license plate. 9 MRV 536, however. Co-conspirator of murder. This is impunity, because this isn't even traffic. So the entity is going to be prosecuted. While you're on the freeway, that's impunity. That's not traffic. And that's speaking to the inhumanity behind the conspiracy to kill you, while everybody on that freeway is gang stalking you, which is an unlawful, unprecedented threat to your life. Okay, and as the entity, in other words, is defiant and is determined to continuously engage, that's going to be rectified. That's going to be dealt with by years in prison, by destruction, removal of companies altogether after they're destroyed, by damage awards, and federally prosecuted, including the people of the state. It is currently 5:36 a.m. on what is Holt Boulevard. Holt Boulevard in Ontario, California. The entity is filled. This is an entity. It's not a neighborhood. It's not a community. It's not a city. This is the public entity that's engaging in surveillance, and this is the beast system. This is the reality of what fills the state of California. They are all demon-possessed, and the government is engaged in what is monitoring through a demon-possessed population. This is P.O.C. All right, this is the implausible light activity at the bus stop, which is remaining on the bus of Omnitrans, by the way. This is an entity that's gang stalked with the people of the state. The pattern of conduct is underway now, and merely the bus is in relevant position. Omnitrans is engaging in the pattern of conduct. They're criminally monitoring. They're doing so while I've documented them engaging what is targeting, and they're also doing so aboard the bus. This is impossible light activity. 3 shadows in front of me. License plate 1545 585. I believe this is P.O.C. That's all crossing the path aboard what is impossible light activity. And the pattern of conduct is like ceaseless. The entity is doing this when then the fake sun is over me on the bus. And this is operated by employee number 3373. And it's currently 5:43 a.m. The bus driver, Omnitrans, is proceeding east on Holt Boulevard, and we're at Euclid Avenue and Holt right now at 5:43 a.m. And this is the pattern of conduct while I'm aboard public transportation that is systematically engaged in monitoring. That's Griffith Company crossing path. They're gang stalking
as well as everyone else, including the entity by aircraft, which I've also documented. This is P.O.C. It is currently 5:43 a.m. That's the fake sun. This is Sierra Avenue in Fontana, California at 6:32 a.m. This is the same street where the fake sun is over me at the Merrill and Sierra Avenue after 5 p.m., where the entity is stalking by commercial planes as well, and the entity is stalking by the Fontana Police Department on the roads and the highways, which is what this is, gang stalking on the roads and the highways. This is Randall Avenue and Sierra. Everybody on this bus, including the driver, is gang stalking and furtherance of murder. This is state surveillance. It is the BEAST system. All right, they're doing so while they're stalking in the path at the traffic lights. And they know what I'm stating as I state it. They know what's going on my device. They're monitoring my genitalia, my physical movement. These are monitoring spirits. They're violent sex offenders. Gang stalking at the bus stop, studying the devices. It's P.O.C. That's engineered light across the Kaiser Permanente. It's not sunlight, and that's not the sun. This is the city of Fontana. That is a gang stalker. The same Sierra Avenue, where the Fontana police are on video stalking by helicopter. That's a prosecution of the entire entity. It's P.O.C. They're stalking on the bus. This is surveillance on behalf of the state. They are the people of the state. They're not private citizens. They're not individuals either. It's the government. And the government that's conspiring your murder while engaging in that pattern of conduct. That is supernatural. All right, the entity maintaining that fake sun over me, where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking with Securitas. This is the African-American psychopath stalking with light on that golf cart as I documented it into the sunrise, where that fake sun remains at that same Ontario Civic Center. Okay, this is the Carl's Jr., where it has engineer light moving across it. The Carl's Jr., where the fake sun is directly over me at this entrance. This is what I documented. Where Vactor is gang stalking, where the Fontana Police Department are gang stalking, and Fontana Police chose to be in alignment to engage in conspicuous surveillance, and that is again the terrorist that is letting you know that he is such while being exposed for it, and that is again Michael, that the chief of police of the Fontana Police Department. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of as an agency. That's a terrorist agency, not a police department. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is currently 6:35 a.m. where, like I'm stating, where Fontana police are gang stalking on the same street. This is the evidence you're going to use. They're gang stalking as a department on this same street into the evening, where this fake sun is also setting. And the entity is maintaining this light source at the Ontario Civic Center. Okay, this is P.O.C. Omnitrans license 1613623, bus 1350. These demons are using these buses as a means of stalking with light. They're stalkers. It's all surveillance. This is P.O.C. It's 6:35 a.m. This is again employee number 3373. These are the employees that are state actors that are greeting, stalking, terrorizing, harassing, threatening with the terrorist organizations as I'm getting off of Ontario, in Ontario, and Mike LORENZ is greeting with helicopter activity like I'm documenting. This is a pattern with Omnitrans. The entities engage in this pattern together. License 9DOD172. It's Route 19 at what is 6:36 a.m. Stalking, which is the RICO case, as I'm showing every business, every venue, every city. In other words, it's a facilitating venue sharing in the pattern of conduct. It's a RICO case against the U.S. government. Here's it. That's a fake sun. This is Sierra Avenue in Orangeway at the Fontana Metrolink train station. 6:36 a.m. 6:37 a.m. during daylight savings time. I'm arriving at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm arriving 2 hours from now. I'm here in the evening, and the entity is maintaining this environment, and this is the conclusive evidence of criminal surveillance, demon possession, public corruption, and the entity is engaging in this in what is Fontana, California. This is the entire proven illegitimacy of the local government body, P.O.C.
right, this is impossible light activity. Not only because of its placement, but because and also you're going to pay attention, this is just another iteration of the same maintenance of impossible light activity, such as when demons are driving by in vehicles and light is dynamic, moving in the same location. It's the maintenance of light. Like at nightfall, when it's dark, and the entity has what is engineer light that is creating multiple shadows across the same locations. As you're being systematically monitored, that is molested with engineer light, and it shall be prosecuted as a sex offense. All right, you're looking at what is impossible while the shadow of their vehicles over here are moving across the wall over here. It's also impossible because this is not the sun. It is also speaking to what's impossible and the identification of targeting when you see what is the maintenance of peculiarized light in the path, systematically underway through a corrupt business such as Omnitrans. That's a stalker. Omnitrans is a paid professional stalker, and doing so under the guise of a transit line. And the entity is maintaining this fake sun in alignment. To me, that's also how you know that this is deliberately placed light, while the city of Fontana is shown to be a stalker. That's Route 82, 1545945 at 6:48 a.m. And this is the fake sun. I'm documenting as a matter of history. I'm at Citibank during the 11 a.m. hour. The fake sun is over the top of my head. I'm documenting just the other day, I believe it's April 8th. And the Fontana police are stalking me, chasing me with helicopter after flying in circles repeatedly over the Fontana Lewis Library, making a clear communication of a threat while they keep my evidence and me and my vagina under surveillance with the population who are the people of the state. Stalking by definition. All right, under what is a fake sun. That's still here in the afternoon during that 1 p.m. hour along the same street at the same Fontana Metro train station where I just showed this light source that's moving as I move, staying as I stay. Documenting at this same location where the people of the state are engaging in surveillance in the environment, which is the exposure of the beast system that has been here, and everyone knows that it's here. And it is where gang stalking is underway, where the government that's keeping you under surveillance is targeting you, and not by itself, with a population of the demon possessed. This is Satan's system. And a fake sun is over me at the intersection of Sierra Avenue and Arrow, where us ongoing systematic molestation, ongoing psychological torture while you're being terrorized and stalked and pursued with light that is invasive, light that is supernatural and not naturally occurring, for the systematic maintenance of monitoring, which is pursuant to stalking. And it is all state action. And this is also informed with the city of Fontana. Okay, this is the entity that is gangster documenting the sunrise, 6:50 a.m. at Arrow Boulevard and Sierra Avenue. 7YQC566, 9UZW338, 9FXC852, 9KGF035, 9XF, I can't really see that one, 6JKX566, 6MXL544, 5MLX624, and so on and so forth. This is the entity Omnitrans that's systematically monitoring, making money off it. This is a federal RICO case. And this is, again, a population that's stalking. And this is the fake sun that's at the same intersection. It's at the same intersection in the evening when I am leaving the Fontana Lewis Library when it closes at 6 p.m. This is the Spring Street and Sierra Avenue side where the fake, as I'm inside of this Fontana Lewis Library, as I documented at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It is over me on this side of the street as I documented at 8:35 a.m. if I walk to this side of the venue, and this fake sun happens to be on the same side of the venue, the Sierra Avenue side, based on my location, where the fake sun is engaging what is rising and setting over one person that has the presence of mind to document it. There will be no debating with Satan, which is speaking to a demon-possessed government body, the U.S. government. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:51 a.m. P.O.C. This is a demon. That's not sunlight. It's not the sun. And that's not the legitimate operations of an airport. That is P.O.C. Okay? And this is, again, the gang stalker of the United States Postal Service. The one in Fontana, California. There are no differences regarding the criminal surveillance system. There's no exception. There's no angle. There's no person. All right? There's no business that's not engaging it and in perfect alignment, not coincidentally, but pursuant to a very clear-cut pattern of conduct. License plate, ATTE 731, 7PHA 581, 9USN 948, 7AUX 951, I believe. 9RJG057 in this station that is stalking. This is Upland Avenue, where the Fontana Police Department. So many departments that are being simultaneously exposed, documented, prosecuted, and so many that have engaged in what is threatening my life by stalking me as an agency. This is the Fontana Police Department that's off of Upland Avenue, and if you look at the Google Drive, you'll see seconds prior, while the entity is already stalking in the sky space, engaging in ambush conduct, waiting, a demon engaging in surveillance in the parking lot, waiting for me to cross the street, driving by, molesting with impossible light, flying over under the fake sun is up the Fontana Police Department, pacing with the rest of these demons. They have no business in uniforms representing law enforcement, no business in the medical field, no business around children, no business maintaining any sort of ability of having the influence over those that are vulnerable in society. They're murderers and they're sex offenders and they're stalkers. They stalk you as prey until they take your life. They're thieving psychopaths. This is the demon possessed. This is currently, by the way, 7 a.m. where the city of Fontana is gang stalking at Sierra Avenue and Upland, proven through the fake sun. And this is the evidence that's going to put simultaneously the terrorist organizations, they're going to be prosecuted, identified as terrorists, and engaging in this P.O.C. This is going from LA to what is San Bernardino County. All right, this is P.O.C. It is 7 a.m. on the dot. Alrighty, it is currently 7:30 a.m. Exhibit A. This is what the entity is doing. Amazon Prime's flying over the top of my head, and this is Amazon Prime as well. It's got the logo on the belly of the plane. This is Amazon Prime that is gang stalking me, targeting me under the fake sun at the Fontana Lewis Library. They are also targeting in the city of Ontario. Gang stalking on the roads and the highways, like I documented Amazon Prime doing at the intersection of Valencia and Sierra Avenue. Doing so with the, I surmise, this is the store manager. His name is David Fugate, and the license plate looks as though he was trying to be creative. He's an oversized African-American male. He's engaged in the same criminal activity as David Quinones at the Stater Brothers at 646 West Holt Boulevard, where Amazon Prime is gang stalking me there, and they are competing with the presence of a fake sun. Actually, what they're doing is, while they are under public investigation, engaging in surveillance and furtherance of murder with the U.S. government and acting with impunity. This is an entity that is showing itself, proving that companies are engaging in surveillance, not legitimate business practices, and they are engaging what is making money. While that is underway, this is what you're gaining while you see the fake sun that remains, as you know, as a matter of evidence, from literally sunrise until the evening after 5 p.m. up to 6 p.m. I'm documenting it. So at what point is the sun ever going to be in Fontana over 8228 Sierra Avenue, aiming through the tinted windows of the grocery store while I'm inside showing you engineer light that's chasing me through the aisles? Okay, that's the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. Amazon Prime, Stater Brothers, the people of the state, the gang stalker that are the commercial airline companies that are terrorists. This is a federal RICO case. And this is also a very clear-cut case regarding the kidnappers and murderers who are maintaining deceptive identities as engaging in what is the purpose to protect and serve as law enforcement, when actually they're engaging in what is bullying, murdering, and kidnapping with regard to criminal surveillance, and those are the so-called police departments. This is the city of Fontana at 7:32 a.m. under the fake sun. Amazon Prime flying over the top of my head. This is P.O.C. License 1665171 or 191. This is Fontana Police going out of their way, gang stalk with Amazon. Pay attention to what the entity is doing. Doing so under the fake sun while they're monitoring me, documenting all the demons gang stalking at Foothill and Sierra. That is a very heavily documented tactic of the entity that are maintaining a bully system, the beast system, surveillance underway with the people of the state. And this is the entity that also does so by helicopter while I document them. This is why they are going to prison. These are terrorists. They're all sex offenders and stalkers, and they are being prosecuted. The terrorist organization itself is already handled, okay? This is the entity that's engaged in that. Without the people of the state, it's impossible. I.I.S 777 is stalking on behalf of the Fontana Police Department. And a terrorist leader going by the name of Aquanetta. Warren, she's being removed from office as the people of the state in the city of Fontana are engaging in what is domestic terrorism. She is unfit to be in office. She is a part of the same community. She is not ignorant nor reasonably ignorant about this pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:45 a.m. That's the entity gang stalking with the agency itself. That's an unlawful threat while the entity is engaged in that pattern of conduct, keeping you under surveillance and stalking you. All right, this is the entity that's going to be federally prosecuted. This is P.O.C. By the way, big picture, this is the same Sierra Avenue where Fontana police are stalking me by helicopter at the Fontana Lewis Library. All right, that's the purpose of what is crossing paths 7UO5611 under a fake sun, 8134 at the intersection of Sierra and Foothill. These are not private properties. Burger King, Circle K, Mobile, IHOP, Alberto's, Jack in the Box, Joe's Mexican food, Asada burritos, and they're all engaged in surveillance. That's what the U.S. government is engaging in, surveillance. And any business formation is subservient to that surveillance system. Okay? And that's their chief purpose. They make money, sell you products, and provide services while they're engaging in that, which is public corruption. And it is a massive, epic, unprecedented federal RICO case. This is P.O.C.
All right, it is 4:33 p.m. and this is where the entity, I've captured this before. This is documentation speaking to massive criminal monitoring, ongoing vagina monitoring. These are stalkers that are engaging in what is monitoring genitalia in places such as bathrooms, and it includes everybody in the building, including this demon that's underage moving. He is moving in engineer light, and they are doing so on what is engineer light. So everything they're doing, getting up and sitting down, talking, having a library full of demons right now, which is what the Fontana Lewis Library is doing. They're also targeting me, harassing, psychologically torturing while they're monitoring the device where I'm publishing evidence, targeting with impossible light, and this is already on video, okay? Demons that sit around engaging in surveillance all day long, monitoring you, stalking with light. This is ongoing surveillance, which is again, the entity that is stalking as a police department, which is not a police department. This is P.O.C. Okay? This is the entity that's coming inside and specifically maintaining what are events. This is what Paul Leon is being removed from office for. The City of Ontario, as I've shown the evidence of what is criminal surveillance simultaneously underway while a food festival, a Route 66 car show, Christmas festivals are underway. They are simultaneously engaged in what is the criminal conspiracy to murder while they are gang stalking. This is what the entity is doing in an environment where they are literally in the engineer light monitoring simultaneously. And this is San Bernardino County. This is speaking to pervasive corruption. This is speaking to despicable means of sexual violence. This is speaking to the criminal pattern of conduct includes minor children. Okay, these are demon possessed. They are pacing in and out of bathrooms, maintaining surveillance. They're making sure that there is no point at which I will ever have any privacy concerning my genitalia in that private space, where the entity is engaging in what is criminal monitoring inside of that private space. Okay, surveillance, and they're doing so to what is the scientific evidence, which is again that additional certainty, which is providing evidence beyond a reasonable doubt regarding the fact that the government is engaging in a criminal pattern of conduct. This is in the city of Fontana. This is P.O.C. The entity is maintaining impossible light along the ceiling. The entity is targeting with impossible light along the wall next to me, next to my computer, and they're all targeting me as that is the case. It is very specific, okay? What you also are aware of is that the entity is maintaining the fake sun where your terrorist, who is going by the name Amazon Prime, to whom you pay a tremendous amount of money to keep you under surveillance while you purchase products from them and receive services that are serving surveillance at the same time. This is P.O.C. At 4:33 p.m., the fake sun is over me in Upland, California at the Upland Public Library. It is literally over the top of my head in this exact same manner at the inside of the Upland Public Library at 450 North EUCLID Avenue. And the two are not happening at the same time, which is speaking to the malice behind a population of sex offenders who give birth to children who are also monitoring you. And the entities engaging what is invading your privacy and doing so as a government system. This is demonic, and it's also criminal, and it is the evidence to put terrorists like Stephanie, or the entity that engaged in, as I'm referencing evidence, in 2022, the entity is engaging in what is criminal summoning, and the state employee, because she's a San Bernardino County employee, and there is no statute of limitations, so even if she moved to Louisiana, Stephanie Ortiz is going to federal prison. The entity is still monitoring, speaking to the fact that she is going to federal prison, and this is the criminal pattern of conduct that was underway in 2022, and it's a pattern of conduct that's underway now. His shadow was appearing on this wall down here, and is crossing path, stalking specifically me while coming in the hallway.
This is the entity that is tracking your steps. This is the same street that I was on this morning capturing the fake sun. All right, where the entity is maintaining the pattern of conduct, flying over me by commercial airline planes, gang stalking me by Amazon Prime commercial planes in the Stater Brothers parking lot. This is the same Sierra Avenue. This is the Spring Street and Sierra Avenue intersection where I'm present at 8:35 in the morning. This is gang stalking. Okay, this is the prosecution of San Bernardino County, which is the prosecution of the state of California, the U.S. government. As I have shown, the cities are all engaging in that pattern of conduct, and the entity is doing so necessarily with what are legally referred to the people of the state who are domestic terrorists, they're violent sex offenders, they are demon possessed, including there is no age restriction, there is no limitation. You're looking at the light activity, you're looking at the supernatural environment, you're looking at what is the provision of that ongoing surveillance system. And the entity is obsessive. So you've seen them engage in what is harassment and stalking by helicopter. You've seen them engage in what is making up malicious assertions. You've seen them engage in what is stalking with impossible light while they're driving their cars and this light activity is happening. There's no cars in here. And the cars that are on the ground are not causing sunlight to rise above on the ceiling. They are in here to maintain surveillance, and this is how obsessive and psychopathic the demon-possessed are. This is the beast system, and this is what an entity is doing while they are invested in the murder of an American citizen that they are targeting specifically, intentionally, and deliberately, including those under the age of majority. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that's maintaining this ongoing method of light activity right where I'm located at the computer, where every employee, every patron, they're all the demon possessed, engaging in that pattern of conduct. And this is again the entity that is doing so while the fake sun remains over the same venue where it is in the morning, and it is also simultaneously over me, for example, at the Open Public Library at the exact same time. All right, this is again Michael Dorsey that is engaging what is terrorizing me by helicopter during the 1 p.m. hour. It is 4:33 p.m. and there is no sun that will be over the same venue. There is a body of evidence to federally prosecute that agency, which is no police department, in reference to the Fontana Police Department, that are gang stalking me on this very street this morning, doing so while they keep my evidence under surveillance, and there are federal repercussions for that. And that is also speaking to what are the people of the state gang stalking with that agency. It is the city of Fontana, which is necessarily removing what is Aquanetta Warren. This is exposing domestic terrorists. This is P.O.C. It is currently 4:39 p.m. This is mental illness. It's going to be addressed in the federal prosecution of the U.S. government. This is the people of the state gang stalk with Omnitrans. This is for the buses only. These are the people of the state that are stalking in the path with light. This is exactly what Omnitrans is doing, and it's cloaked under the guise of a transit line. License BA 560 handicap. They don't drive in here where the buses go. They're doing it because they're monitoring, but this is for the Omnitrans train station. In the same manner, Union Pacific using the train station for monitoring. Just the exact same thing that Metrolink is doing under the guise of running the train line. P.O.C. Omnitrans is surrounding with light activity. And that's Lyft. I'm going to prosecute Lyft as well. Lyft and the third party. License plate BA 560, that's P.O.C. And these psychopaths are pacing all around. These are demons. And the entity stalking in the sky space using aerial surveillance. Alrighty, this is Omnitrans license plate. This driver is monitoring license 1302445 bus 1333. You see the light activity? P.O.C. All right, this is stalking on behalf of the city of Ontario while the entities molesting me with impossible light. These are co-conspirators of murder. They're psychopaths. These are demons that are stalking in the middle of the night. And by the way, you want to pay attention to violence against women. This is the government that incentivizes and encourages and participates in, this is not a man, but this is of the male gender that is stalking a woman with murder. and then goes home to whatever his counterpart is. It may very well be a male, but if they go home to women, have daughters, and they're gang stalking women. This is P.O.C. It's currently, by the way, 10:15 p.m. The entity's molesting me with light while he's over here stalking in the path. This is what the entity's doing as a population from city to city as well. City to city. P.O.C. It's 10:15 p.m. Ontario Town Square. All right, this demon is stalking on behalf of the gang members. He is a gang member. Again, gang stalking at the Ontario Town Square, and the vagina monitors are stalking in a helicopter as he is documented, and I publish it onto X and Threads. That's engaged the pattern of conduct, okay? This is the entity that is fully engaged in what is violence against women while they're engaged in that pattern of conduct with the police department. None of them are men. And this is the basis of federal prison. This is exactly what employee 4398 is engaging in as well with Omnitrans. This is P.O.C. The entity is engaged in this with Mike LORENZ. They bear weapons, engaging kidnapping, criminal summoning while they're engaging in surveillance with the people of the state. This is P.O.C. While he's picking up dog poo, he's engaging in the elements of monitoring. In the engineer light, stalking. This is a vagina monitor himself, stalking a woman in the middle of the night. These are the cowards that are going to federal prison. This is the pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that's staring at his device, stalking with the police department. This is the pattern of conduct. This is why they're all over the internet. They don't have any privacy. They're violent sex offenders. They're threats to women and children. Okay, and they're doing so with their demon-possessed spouses, their demon-possessed kids. That's why they gang stalk his families. That's why they're engaging in this as a matter of public corruption. This is P.O.C. This coward is on the internet because that's exactly what he's engaging in. And this is where the entity is engaging what is stalking by flying in circles over me as I put the federal prosecution of the U.S. government on the internet. Mike LORENZ is going to prison. Just like you know that while I'm at the Fontana Lewis Library, Mike LORENZ is going to federal prison. He's not the only one, but he's going to be made what is a banner regarding putting terrorists away. Terrorists that commit murder, that stalk and sexually violate women, that they're gang stalking as a population. These are demons. These are not men. These are demons. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 10:24 p.m. This is at the Ontario Town Square where the gang stalkers are not a police department. They're engaging in what is, like I stated, and like the evidence shows, gang stalking by a population. Holding out anything. The dog is a prop. Their babies are a prop. Going to the ATM is a prop. Working in the library is a prop. The entities engaging in this P.O.C. as a population in an engineered environment. This is P.O.C. and it's criminal. Okay, the entities engaged in this while they are keeping the evidence that prosecuting them under surveillance, which is a basis to put Mike LORENZ in prison, and Mike LORENZ is not getting out of prison when this is the case. And everyone that Mike LORENZ is targeting me with, which are the people of the state, are going to be subject to that ongoing federal consequence as well. This is P.O.C. Ontario Wells Fargo at 241 North Euclid Avenue, the John Stewart Company, the Ontario Senior Citizen Apartment Complex, the Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments are monitoring with this demon that's maintaining activity while he's pacing all around. They're in this parking lot, in their vehicles, stalking in the path. They're in the parking garage and at the Tesla charge stations, residing in relevant position, gang stalking on the roads and the highways, at the Wells Fargo, stalking at the traffic lights, and maintaining presence. Metro 102 Apartments, the entity that's engaged in this P.O.C., and that's the Ontario International Airport back here where there is no airport and they're sharing in the P.O.C. This is the entity that's going to prison. These demons are not going to be free. They're going to prison. This is the P.O.C. And this is exactly what the city of Fontana is engaged in. Amazon Prime flying over the top of my head at the Stater Brothers in Fontana, that's a stalker. And that's exactly why they go to prison when they say anything to you and you document them. All the ones that are engaged in that, they're all going to federal prison. Every single last one of them. You've witnessed them engaging in what is harassment. You've witnessed them engaging in criminal summoning when they're the psychopaths. You witnessed them engaging in what is threatening to engage in physical violence and actually engaging in physical violence while they're gang stalking. Every single last one is documented and they're going to prison. This is why. This is P.O.C. It's currently, by the way, like I stated, where the entity isn't, that's the Ontario International Airport, stalking with the people, pacing around with a dog walker in the middle of the night, a vagina monitor that's stalking in the middle of the night. And this is, again, this is a co-conspirator of murder. And this is how devoted a demon-possessed people are. And this is the exposure of that system. This is the beast system. And they are no magical people whatsoever. They're merely demon-possessed. And this is the entirety of that system. This is the entity that is, again, prosecuting Paul Leon. He's not staying in office. And he's being federally prosecuted for conspiring murder as a terrorist leader, seeking to conceal that by sitting in office and also being what is a fake pastor. Okay? That is criminal activity that he's engaging in with the fake church he has on Euclid Avenue in Ontario, California, Hope Church. There is no hope for Leon, and there's no hope for the people of the state. They're engaged in this criminal activity that was never supposed to be exposed. And Mike Leon is engaged in, Mike LORENZ and Paul Leon sharing what is defaming my character in order to accomplish murdering me with the people of the state that are gang stalking, just like you see this third party is doing here. They do this as a population, including, as you see, as I go from city to city, sharing in that P.O.C. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently, like I stated, 10:28 p.m. The airport's being shut down. There will be no fire department. Michael GERKEN's a vagina monitor, engaging in surveillance, aiding in what is the conspiracy to murder me, to get away with stealing my money, while keeping me under surveillance. In furtherance of doing so, the Ontario police are being disbanded, and that agency is going to be prosecuted with my evidence, documenting them as stalkers. They're going to prison and engaging in what is kidnapping me. All the ways in which they are in stalking, including when I encounter them at the Ontario Police Department, they're going to prison. They're stalking at that department. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:28 p.m. This is what they did last night, by the way, when I got off the bus, and they were focusing the helicopter activity over there at Metro 102. They're concentrating it here, where I'm located, which is where the airport is stalking. There's no terminals where flights are going to be hovering over this Ontario Civic Center. Neither are the Ontario Police Department a police department engaging in anything other than that documented pattern of stalking. And the people of the state are surrounded with evidence, putting them in prison. Every syllable that came out of their mouths, I've documented them engaging in what is harassment because they're caught engaging in what is stalking, and they're hostile demons who are psychopathic. They are going to prison. That's the government that's engaging what is trying to cuss me out because you're gang stalking, engaging what is threatening to put your hands on me when you're gang stalking. The government that pulls out a helicopter as you're documented, these are cowards and they're punks and they're obsessed with my vagina. They're going to prison while they're speaking, which is threatening you as the state, while they are stalking in planes and helicopters and in the middle of the night, invested in murder. This is P.O.C. This is the city of Ontario, all right? And is engaged in what is ongoing pacing. P.O.C. He was monitoring what I'm uploading online. The entity pulls out the helicopter as I put this demon and his criminal conduct on X and Threads, and then the entity starts pacing by helicopter, which is the basis of federal prison. P.O.C. This is the entity engaged in the same P.O.C. and this is the vagina monitor that pulls up to share in what is the pattern of conduct. I documented this morning, an African-American male at Metro 102 apartments while the airport is stalking by flying over the same location where I'm at now, and I documented it in a video captured in the 5 a.m. hour. This is the same pattern stalking in the path, and I'm going to get this license plate. This is one entity. Okay, the entity that's walking the dog is the same entity that pulls up in the parking lot while the entity is flying over. Targeting by an airport is targeting by the people of the state. Targeting by helicopter, the police department, is targeting by the people of the state. And they're going to prison for that. This is P.O.C. These are, again, not men, demons that are stalking a woman together in the middle of the night. This is the system documentation, by the way. Serial stalkers are going to prison. And I've documented this stalker on more than one occasion. This is P.O.C. It is license 9UID 012. Stalking in the path with light while the airport is engaging what is cartwheels. Just engaging what is pacing right here. Pacing right here. That's the P.O.C. Metro 102, Ontario Senior Citizen Apartments, Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments, and this is where the Ovid Family Community Library, where those employees are going to prison. This is the pattern of conduct inside of that library where they're engaged in what is discriminating against me because I'm documenting them as vagina monitors, which is what they are. P.O.C. These are demons, very mentally ill behavior, targeting with light. The light is reaching over. You can see the shuttle. These are demons. Those are not headlights. These are mentally ill people. This is the same pattern of conduct. And this is what is wrong with Mike LORENZ. He's mentally ill. He's demon possessed. And that's why they are crawling in helicopters and stalking in commercial airline planes, engaging in what is criminal monitoring. The criminal monitoring system is exposing what is closeted mental illness by a population of demon possessed people. I literally have the entity that is gang stalking in this manner as a population with the entity that is stalking in the sky space. They're flying right over the senior citizen apartment complex right now. Doing so in relevant position while the people of the state, the demons, are engaging in their bidding, aiming light, stalking with light, while they're engaging in this demonic conduct. The entity is walking their dog, gang stalking me, and then the entity proceeds to engage in stalking by helicopter, and then proceeds to engage in stalking by commercial plane, and the entity are now surrounding with what is light activity on the opposite side of the parking lot. Your headlights are not going to cause any shadows. It's not going to touch. It's not going to blind. It's not going to touch you or anything like that. These are demon-possessed people. They're mentally ill. These are people that commit murder, and then they wipe your blood off of them, and they go about feeding their baby their formula like nothing happened. That's what's wrong with the demon-possessed. They are, in fact, mentally ill. This is that level, and I'm describing in that manner so that you can understand what you are looking at. I know that you see the engineer lighting, you understand the P.O.C, those that are paying attention, but this level of instability that I'm subject to, this is that level of instability that they are engaging in. These are demons that are increasingly hostile while you're caught. Nobody cares that you're mad. You're not going to do anything in front of the whole audience. Now, the entity is going to prison. Tracy Banks is going to prison. She literally engaged in a transaction with these cult members as though she's going to sell me like I'm chattel. And this is how you have this. This is what her and Jason Fields and Eric Spencer, those that are related to me, those that are in my those that are relatives, okay, and those that she had sex with. That's what Jason Isaac Fields represents. She had sex with him. They're all cult members. This is what an entity is engaging in, and they're doing it in front of the whole world. All of you that are watching. All of you know what the Ontario Police Department are and what they're doing. All of you know what the Fontana Police Department are and know what they're doing while you've seen me drag, literally embarrass and humiliate the city of Ontario. This is an entity that's engaging in what is stalking with light. That's entirely mentally ill conduct. And it's while they are stalking in the middle of the night. It is 11:09 p.m. You need to understand that these are murderers. These are not gangsters. These are not courageous, bold, elite people. These are vagina monitors. They stalk in bathrooms. They are crouching outside of your homes, obsessively stalking you until they take your life, take your money, whatever it is that they're after. This is the beast system, and the Ontario Police Department is going to cease to exist because of it. That's what stalking with light. In a parking lot, in the middle of the night. And they want you during the day to look at them pushing a stroller, to be outside of the library under the fake sun and just ignore like you are ignoring it. You're not ignoring any of this. And this is, again, the reality of a mentally ill population, a population of them. This is P.O.C. Tracy Banks and Jason Fields are going to prison. Every moment I remain subject to it. This is exactly what employee 4398 is engaging in as well. Stalking and furtherance of murder. Not a bus driver. Not a coach operator, a co-conspirator of murder. And that's exactly how those defendants are going to be federally prosecuted. This is P.O.C. Alrighty. It is currently, by the way, I just want to capture because this is capturing the essence of mental illness by demons that are stalking in this obsessive manner. P.O.C. All right. Up here above the 280 North Limit Apartments, the entity had an aircraft flying, which would be flying north in this direction over this apartment complex while a demon is in this vehicle with their lights on. And you saw the other demon over there. This is license plate 9 Robert Henry David 304. This is P.O.C. Mike LORENZ is engaging in all of the pattern of conduct. It's the city of Ontario. All right. They're engaged in this pattern of conduct while the entity is stalking as an airport, while the entity is stalking as a population, while the entity is stalking as corrupt businesses, and the entity shall be executed for it. And this is, again, the ability to know that Mike LORENZ is no police chief. He's not even a sane individual. He is definitely a terrorist, and he is a threat to the public and whoever is him. He is going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. This is where an entity is stalking. Here's my shadow here, and here's my shadow here. That's the significance of what are demons that are engaged in surveillance, aiming light while I'm in operation of my device, while the entity is flying over a senior citizen complex at 11 o'clock at night, doing so while they are engaging in what is blatant, conspicuous surveillance that is deranged behavior. Okay, the federal government is being prosecuted for that, which I am documenting. Okay, and this is an entity ceased to exist. The Ontario Fire Department, the Ontario Police Department, the Ontario International Airport, they're all ceasing to exist. All of it. So this is the pattern of conduct. And this is, again, the unprecedented criminal conduct, the corruption. This is speaking to an enterprise, a criminal syndicate. They traffic children. They rape, murder, steal, and this is an entity that's caught doing so. And while they're caught, you see their mental illness that's no longer closeted, clearly. All right, and the entity's engaging in this while it's going all over the internet. They will not be engaging in any sacrifice. They're not going to steal my money. They're not going to stalk me when I'm relocated. They're not going where I'm going. They're not going to do anything because everybody is watching them. Mike Lorenz is going to federal prison. And he can be as angry as he wants. He's going to be angry and in a federal cell. This is P.O.C. Every single last demon that you've seen me document, from Jonathan Burnett and Sequoia Payton to Jay Montez and C. Gerber, they're going to prison. Every single last one of them. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, while the people of the state are, again, this is confirmation, they're stalking. There's no separation of that pattern of conduct. This is what the employee 4398 is engaging in the city of Ontario. They're engaging in a ceaseless P.O.C. and they are going to be federally prosecuted accordingly. This is 11:13 p.m. This is where the mentally ill are engaging in what is the beast system. The beast system is underway through what are the demon possessed. This is Satan's population. Satan is the spirit of mental illness, in case you did not know. And that is what the medical professionals do not address. Okay, this is how you have targeting American citizens, and the mentally ill are making up literally those in the medical field, and also those that are, as I'm showing you, engaging in what is the surveillance system, demonic behavior, which is mentally ill behavior. It is the spirit of Satan. Okay, they will be diagnosed and criminally prosecuted. This is P.O.C. This is exactly where the airport is stalking as well. All right, that's a pattern of conduct. Mike Lorenz and Derek Williams. You're talking about Marcelo Blanco. You're talking about Michael in the city of Fontana. You're talking about the entity that's going to be federally prosecuted for this. They are sharing the identical P.O.C. Identical. There's no sun in a natural environment that's in Ontario while it's sitting over the Fontana Lewis Library. They're all being prosecuted. All of them. This is exposing domestic terrorism, and I'm prosecuting the system, and I'm also going to prosecute Fontana Police, Upland Police, Ontario Police, Los Angeles Police, the people that are stalking with the police, stalking with light, mentally ill, deranged behavior. The license plates that I captured, they're acting together as one entity. These are vagina monitors. These are murderers. These are the mentally ill, the demon possessed that are obsessed with what is a delusion. This was never supposed to be exposed. The secret is out, and now you're actually seeing what is the secret, that they're all deranged. They're psychotic. And they're going. Mike Lorenz is going to be on 23-hour lockdown. That's the type of confinement he's going to have. This is a pattern of conduct. This is beyond what is abnormal and criminal. This is speaking to what is the mental illness that's going to be put at the forefront of these terrorist prosecutions. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently, like I said, 11:15 p.m. This is unhelpful to the entity that's going to be prosecuted. I want to be clear. Fontana shares the criminal pattern of conduct. So I am serving for what is exposing the mentally ill that are a part of the Fontana Police Department, the mentally ill that are part of the Los Angeles Police Department, the mentally ill that are part of the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, the mentally ill that are part of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, the mentally ill that are part of the Pomona Police Department, the mentally ill that are part of the Upland Police Department. They share the pattern of conduct. All right, this is the P.O.C. It is currently, like I stated, 11:15 p.m. I have more than those law enforcement agencies. This is just giving you an example, the wealth of the evidence. And the entity is going to be both diagnosed and criminally convicted for criminal conduct. This is demonic activity that is serving the criminal surveillance system. P.O.C. And this is what the entity wants all over the internet, and it is a surefire prosecution. There's no controversy that's going to take place in a courtroom. This is a complete prosecution, and this is in fact over. These are mentally ill people that are demon possessed. This is the ongoing conduct of Satan that is showing that he is a loser. Satan is operating through people that are engaging in criminal conduct that's not a secret, and this is speaking to their own destruction, their own suicidal tendencies, their own need for what is restraints and what is placement in federal prisons, like any other terrorist. All right. This is not going to sit in office as a mayor. This is not sitting in any position as a fire chief, a police chief. You're not sitting in any position as a county sheriff. This is being removed from all those positions. This is P.O.C. I just want to document, I did end the video, but I'm going to capture this ongoing because this is going to be relevant in court. What the entity is doing at the Ontario Town Square, when I'm capturing these dark figures at the square, all they're doing is stalking. All right, like I stated, like the evidence shows. But not only that, understand, Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks, these people are going to prison. And it's not funny, but it's so clear cut that this is the entity that had so many plans for what they were going to do with my money and what was going to happen to me. None of that is happening, and they are going to prison. And this is speaking to a level of delusion and embarrassment. And the mentally ill psychopaths that are embarrassed engage in criminal activity in front of the whole world. Apparently, this is what the Ontario police department, they're not a police department, but this is what the Ontario Police Department have opted to engage in. You're paying attention to what I'm publishing on an ongoing basis on the internet, what is already available with regard to this entity that's engaged in what is maintaining a campaign of defamation. While they have been systematically kidnapping me, pursuant to stalking me, while participating in court hearings in my absence while kidnapping me simultaneously, and then also lying about the fact that they don't know where I am located, while San Bernardino County Sheriff has me buried in a corner somewhere in the West Valley Detention Center, Central Detention Center, Glen Helen Rehabilitation Center, where they're engaged in criminal monitoring. While you're listening to the entity and looking at the entity stalking me by helicopter, this has been years of stalking in furtherance of that ultimate objective to get away with what is defaming me in furtherance of murders. What's the purpose of the Ontario Police and San Bernardino County Sheriff, Tracy Banks, the people of the state defaming me, Jason Fields defaming me? Because when the entity planned to commit murder, this is the entity that would have stated in these court hearings where I was absent concerning money and property that belongs to me. So it's already improper, it's already unlawful. This is entirely corrupt, as I've also shown, the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, gang stalkers. Lisa Rogan, gang stalker, San Bernardino courtroom, gang stalking me by helicopter, just like this at the courthouse, is maintaining the fake sun. The entity's engaging in this surveillance system. And while the entity's defaming, trying to falsely depict one as a criminal while you're stalking me, while I'm at this town square right now, there is no camping violation. You're listening to this? Craig Hazelwood's going to prison. He's going to federal prison. He's a stalker. That's what he's doing while they're engaging what is stealing my money and then resulting in homelessness. And then while you're stealing my money, in possession of it, and stalking me at work, which is what this entity, LA County, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department on video stalking me, Los Angeles Police Department on video, wealth of it, stalking, the entity maintaining that activity, that specific environment. While the entity is engaging in this, 48 minutes of the Los Angeles Police Department stalking me by helicopter by flying in circles outside of my living room window. This is flying in circles over my apartment, flying in circles outside of the windows of my bedroom in Los Angeles. This is an entity that's engaging in flying in circles over my office at Alvarado Gardens, speaker companies that hired to commit murder. They're all going to prison. This entity is serving for putting Maria Solis Alvarez, Don Noggle, all those. Nobody forgot about that. They're going to prison while the Ontario police are engaging with a psychopathic pacing after 11 o'clock, 11:20 at night, pursuant to the identical pattern of conduct, and they're doing so pursuant to knowledge that I'm documenting them, while they are engaged in an ongoing stalking, pursuant to what is a criminal means of defaming my character, a defamation campaign. And it's entirely unsuccessful when they are proven to be stalking, just like this documentation shows. Now, I want you to be mindful of that, because this is what the entity is doing while I'm documenting license plates. Every license plate that I just captured on video are going to be federally prosecuted. Every employee number with Omnitrans that I'm documenting, they're going to be federally prosecuted. Every city that's sharing in this pattern of conduct, while I document them, and then you're looking at, there's no pause in the pattern of conduct, they're going to be prosecuted. While I'm referring to a demon that's stalking a woman in the middle of the night, and then the entity is arriving in a helicopter to proceed to stalk in helicopters, like you just witnessed right now, they're going to be federally prosecuted. In fact, this is that prosecution. This is that. There is no controversy to be had in the courtroom. There's no mystery about what Lisa Rogan is doing in the courtroom in February of 2020. It's the same criminal pattern of conduct that's underway now, except there's no mystery about what Lisa Rogan's criminal purpose is, what her criminal motivation is, the fact that she's a criminal at all. There's no mystery anymore. There's no mystery about Thomas Garza, the San Bernardino courthouse, that's not doing his job by merely making the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department provide service of process to a fee waiver recipient at that, so that I can maintain my civil case for this very criminal activity that the Ontario Police Department have been engaging in as a matter of record since 2018. And I travel from city to city, just like you've been witnessing in 2026, documenting this pattern of conduct. Some of this evidence, this gang stalker has even stolen. That's not removing any of, they're going to prison. For stolen evidence, you're going to prison. Whereas that evidence might have been a basis to prosecute you for gang stalking, period, where it's evidence that's stolen, well, you're acting further to me, you're going to prison for that, period. All right, the entity's engaging in this pattern of conduct, and they're engaging what is flying over the top of my head, and they're doing this on an ongoing basis while they're listening to the fact that Mike Lorenz is going to prison. The entity does not stop stalking. Mike Lorenz is going to prison for even longer because of the ongoing criminal acts of obstruction, meaning you're stalking me more as I document. The entity does not stop stalking. That Tracy Banks is going to federal prison, and so is Jason Fields. The entity maintained insurance policies, sat in courtrooms where I was absent while they're engaged in what is litigating over money, millions of dollars, wealth, property, real property, personal property, stocks, bonds that belongs to me that nobody ever told me about, including Tracy Banks, supposedly my mother. That's to be explored. That's to be revisited, whether she is in fact my biological mother. And the entity is engaging in they're still stalking while I'm going over this. The shared pattern of conduct. Marcelo Blanco's being prosecuted. Darren Goodman's being prosecuted. Okay. Michael of Fontana Police, he's going to be prosecuted. You have Dominic Choi. He's the vagina monitor in chief while I'm being targeted at Alvarado Gardens. But his predecessor, Michael Moore, and the one following him, the one currently in office to be federally prosecuted. The entity's engaged in this, and they're still stalking while they're listening to that. They're listening to everything that I'm stating, and they are specifically targeting me. That's why they persist to fly in circles over my head. There's no coincidences here. They're specifically targeting me when you're looking at that supernatural feature of the fake sun rising and setting over me and engineer light while you're on the opposite side of a great field. Your headlights aren't reaching on the opposite side of that field. Those aren't headlights. Those are demons. And by the way, while I'm in a parking lot documenting it, even referring to aircraft flying over a senior citizen complex, and then an aircraft commences to fly in circles over me, that aircraft being a helicopter, and I'm documenting, they're still stalking though. While you point out, you see this is clear targeting. They're still stalking. I just want to be clear. Mike Lorenz is going to federal prison, and this is a suicidal sex offender who has no regard for anyone else. He doesn't care about any family that he has. He doesn't care about people that are relying upon his income. He doesn't care about the fact that he's going to prison and they're not getting a final paycheck. He doesn't care about the fact that he's going down as a terrorist and he is done permanently with law enforcement. It doesn't matter that others with that agency are going to be prosecuted as terrorists, not as bad seeds that are engaging in law enforcement, as domestic terrorists. And you hear the entity is still stalking. That's what I have on video. That's what I have for years on video and podcast. This is an entity that shares a very specific pattern of conduct. The mental illness is that they engage in what is psychopathic, anxious-like conduct, such as flying in circles over me while they follow me around and do so in an environment that defies nature, where the sun both rises and sets. This is where an entity is maintaining surveillance using planes and helicopters, which I'm documenting throughout San Bernardino County, Orange County, Los Angeles County, San Diego County. And the entities engage in this while they are monitoring the evidence against them. The entity is still stalking. I just want to make sure that you understand that, because that's relevant to what is sentencing and damages. The entity is engaged in this while Paul Leon, Aquanetta Warren, Karen Bates, these are terrorist leaders. These are terrorist leaders. They're fully engaged in gang stalking with the criminals that are stalking in helicopters. They're providing funding for the cities to engage in surveillance using the resources of the city. City of Ontario, City of Fontana, City of Los Angeles. These are terrorist leaders that are providing funding for that. And they're going to be federally prosecuted for that. That's funding terrorism. They're engaging in what is providing the resources for ongoing terrorism, pursuant to criminal summoning, a murder, systematic murder and surveillance of American citizens. And that's what they did to me, and it's not a secret. And they're engaging in that while I'm documenting you on video, flying in circles over and over and over me, flying over my head, doing so while I'm capturing that on video. And 7 minutes later, 10, 15 minutes later, you're still flying over the top of my head. You're not going anywhere. This is an entity that's clearly targeting, in other words. That's what that evidence shows. And that's relevant because the entity is going to be federally prosecuted regarding the people of the state that are engaging in sexual violence. They're engaging in what is stalking, which is a crime, with the entity that is stalking in planes and helicopters. Highly demented, criminal, and demonic activity. The fact that this is demonic is relevant context regarding what shall be identified as mentally ill behavior by a population that's engaging in surveillance in deranged manners, surveillance in psychologically harmful manners, surveillance in what is terrorizing manners as a gang, a group, a population, an entity. This is indeed domestic terrorism. It's gang violence by the mentally ill. And it is led by Mike LORENZ. Mike LORENZ that has profited from and been compensated for the very thing that you're listening to, stalking me by helicopter, stalking me as a department, stalking me with the people of the state that are in this park in the middle of the night stalking. And the entities engaging in that on behalf of that agency. That's why they come out stalking in helicopter as I document it. And that is providing what is a very clear-cut pattern of conduct and on whose behalf the people of the state are stalking. The entities engaging in this, and there is a long laundry list of people that are going to federal prison. A long laundry list. And while this country and the rest of the world are undergoing a lot of changes, these people, a lot of people are going to prison. They're going to be locked up for the exposure of the beast system. This is an entity that is accustomed to getting away with murdering American citizens, and they've been doing it for a long time. They've been doing it for decades. They've been getting away with stealing the intellectual property of American citizens. You put your information, you put your ideas, saving it on your device, or starting it, putting it on the internet, and you come up missing. You're under surveillance. You don't even know that. And then they're reporting it on the news as though you committed suicide when you're about to publish your book. And this is the entity that's engaging in that manner, copyright infringement via gang stalking through the surveillance system where the government knows what you're creating. The government wants to target you and take claim of it. Wants to use high school graduates like Tracy Banks, who has sex with police officers of the Ontario Police Department, to get them to crawl into helicopters and stalk me all night, whereby they're going to prison because there's no mystery about whether that or not that's actually happening. They're going to federal prison. They're going to federal prison with whatever infections that they picked up from these sex rituals that they're engaging in with Tracy Banks and Jason Fields and anybody else that's jumping into the mix. While they're engaging in things like sex trafficking, this is on the record while they're stalking me by helicopter. Okay? While they're engaged in what is assault with a deadly weapon, stalking as a population, this is on the record while they're engaging in stalking me by helicopter. While they're engaged in theft of my property, while they're engaged in what is participating in court hearings, and Mike LORENZ wants it to be understood, wants to be believable as having authority as a legitimate agency that's not stalking, that's not targeting, that's not aiding in what is defamation, because that's what it is when you're actually a criminal targeting someone and then you're ruining their reputation so that way you can get away with criminal conduct in a courtroom where you're trying to steal that same targeted person's money and wealth that they don't even know about. That's not even legitimate under any circumstances, and it doesn't help when Lisa Rogan is participating in that defamation campaign. What that means is that Lisa Rogan and Tracy Banks and Mike LORENZ, amongst many others, are going to prison. That's what that means. That's what this helicopter activity in the middle of the night at 11:31 p.m. means. That's what that means. In addition to employee number 4398, gang stalking while driving the bus from Fontana to Ontario, where that pattern of conduct is ceaselessly underway. That's exactly what that employee is engaging in: criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder with the city of Fontana, with the city of Ontario. And while the entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct, you're looking right back to what I'm documenting that demon doing while he's operating the coach on the roads and the highways in the engineer light, doing so with the people of the state in furtherance of murdering me and receiving a paycheck from that state actor Omnitrans, who was, by the way, associated with the gang stalking airport. All right, the handiwork of Alan D. WAPNER. These demons are being federally prosecuted, and there is no mystery here. My podcast serves to speak on and expound upon many of these points that need to be connected. Let me connect some dots for you then. That's what this is about. Because there's no mystery about whether or not someone is making up the fact that they're being stalked by a police department. We're already past that. So you're talking about the way in which the entity is engaging in and the motivation behind it. The entity has committed murder. Did you know that? They're murderers, and they've committed murder to get away with stealing my money and property. And they actually believed, and that's because they're mentally ill, they stalk in helicopters and they fly in circles until they get so dizzy that they start throwing up. They're psychotic. This is why they believe the fact that gang stalking me was going to result in a murder just disappearing and nobody talking about it, and that was going to be a distraction. Mike LORENZ is a murderer. He's a murderer. He's a criminal, and he's engaging what is failing at trying to cover up murder by gang stalking me. In other words, talking about they're stalking me by helicopter so much that you're never going to talk about the fact that there is literally a body that is no longer conscious. A life has been taken, more than one, regarding stealing my money, regarding concealing the fact that this entity has been stealing my money, regarding concealing the fact that I have been targeted. All right. And this is what Mike Lorenz, that is very much engaged in what is failing by gang stalking me. This is relevant to what's incentivizing this department that is stalking me. This is an entity that's doing so in the face of evidence that they know is captured. That's also relevant to what they would rather be discussed. And that's how desperate they are. They would rather talk about the fact that they're stalking in helicopters as an agency with the people of the state repeatedly what is kidnapping. That's not a lawful arrest. It's also not a tortious false imprisonment. No. That's kidnapping. While they're engaging in repetitious kidnapping, while they're stalking it, this video evidence, this podcast is evidence of what are kidnappings. The stalking by helicopter, like you clearly hear, like you can see in the video, that's going toward what are kidnappings. This is a criminal activity. This is stalking. So they're committing kidnappings when they are, like Craig Hazelwood is, and Owens are, stalking and then committing what is an unlawful seizure of my person, referring to any sort of area of the law where they don't have any authority because they're stalking. Not only that, they don't have authority because they're engaged in a whole surveillance system that's underway. And the entity failed in covering up murder. Instead, what has resulted is that the entity, this is exposing a whole government system that the city of Ontario, these failed vagina monitors that engaged in overdoing it and ceasing to engage in that which was exposed at the outset, because that's what they should have did. They're engaging in what is exposing everybody that's engaging in what is a surveillance system. This is the gang stalkers at the courtroom. They're going to prison. The gang stalkers perjuring themselves in that courtroom with the state. They're going to prison. The gang stalkers that are targeting me inside of the library, engaging in what is kidnapping with these agencies, they're going to prison. The gang stalkers that are living at Alvarado Gardens, gang stalking me with LAPD, that's the same state of California, they're going to prison. The gang stalkers that hire me with speaker companies in order to engage in this criminal conduct, that's why LAPD is flying in circles like the Ontario Police Department are. And they're going to prison. Maria Solis Alvarez, Carlo Lopez, nobody is forgotten. They're all going to prison. It's already sitting on the record. While the entity is engaged in what is zipping over, flying over my head, and zipping back and flying over my head and flying in circles and doing so for 20, 25, 35 an hour, I've got the Ontario Police stalking me by helicopter in this ridiculous manner for a term of years, and doing so while they know the camera is rolling. They're monitoring devices. And but I just want to be clear, it's not even going to be based on, you already know that they do know they're engaging in monitoring. Even if they were to claim, oh, well, we didn't know, you're still doing it and it's documented. You're going to prison under all circumstances. But they know they're monitoring devices. You don't have any privacy. That's why a fake sun rises and sets over this Ontario town square. That's why a fake moon is over me at the Ontario town square. That's why the entity is stalking with impossible light activity at the Ontario town square. This is why the entity is engaging in this in the first place, because the entity committed murder and they tried to pin murder on me. While you're stalking me as a police department, they're not engaging in what is any service protecting and serving anybody. They're trying to engage in what is framing an innocent person for criminal activity that they're responsible for, that they're knowledgeable about, that they have taken part in. That's relevant to stalking me by helicopter, trying to frame me for a murder that I don't even know anything about. I have no idea, and my evidence shows where I'm at. Including while they're kidnapping me, it's on the record where I am at. I'm either kidnapped by the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, which is the Ontario Police, which is the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, and all aspects of that criminal cooperative act is resulting in federal prison. Every judge that's sat on a bench and to entertain a corrupt hearing where they're engaging in what is this beast system kidnapping me while they're engaging in what is an elaborate theft regarding my money and property and my identity, trying to frame me for murder and doing so, and the Ontario Police kidnapping and doing so pursuant to stalking me, maintaining this defamation campaign is serving that failed effort at trying to frame me for murder. For murder. Are you kidding me? Well, you hear them stalking me by helicopter. Mike Lorenz is going to prison. He's going to federal prison and he's not getting out. Whoever he's married to, if he's married out, you're not getting a dime. You're not getting anything. You are witnessing how you are going to be broke while this monster is going to prison. That's where he belongs as well. There will be no retirement. You're not getting any final paycheck. He is exclusively identified as a terrorist, engaging in the very opposite of what he's supposed to be doing as a department. That's why they're stalking me by helicopter. And you, whoever you are, related to them, related to Mike Lorenz, be prepared for poverty. This is an outright flip, a reversal of roles. I'm not going to prison for that which I did not commit. But Mike Lorenz and every other stalker, every other kidnapper, every other terrorist with that agency, you're going to prison. And those of you who are connected to them, you're going to suffer the consequences as well. And that is justice. Because whoever you are, you're in the state of California, you're a bunch of gang stalking vaginas. You're a bunch of demons. And you deserve to be impoverished. It's judgment. This is P.O.C. Mike Lorenz has been trying to frame me for murder. And stalking me does not create a case for murder. What that creates is a basis to establish domestic terrorism by gang members that are dressing up as police officers who are stalking and are facilitating criminal activity amongst the people in that city, who are engaging in what is now exposed as an entire system in the U.S., by the way. But we'll just keep it to the city of Ontario. Because by the city of Ontario, which is the state of California, you are thereby establishing what's going on throughout the states. And Mike Lorenz and that agency, they shall be no more. He's going to prison for trying to frame an innocent American citizen who he is stalking in the manner that you hear and what you see on this video that's going to be published by helicopters. And doing that is what you thought, you surmised was going to result in a successful framing me for murder that I have nothing to do with. You know how they were going to establish that? By defaming my character so badly and necessarily having a gang stalker on a bench to entertain it, to not question it, to accept it, just like they did every time they engaged in kidnapping me at the West Valley Detention Center. Because they're corrupt judges, and I mean every single lot. Kara Hudson, you're going to prison. Lisa Rogan's going to federal prison. All right, Brody, you're going to prison. And all those participating with the DA's office, you're going to prison. Okay, you're going to federal prison. This is an entity that's, while you're listening to these idiots stalking by helicopter, count your days because you're going to prison. Everyone and every single last one you stepped in that courtroom, you participated in that courtroom, that's criminal activity. You all are engaging in what is some higher sophisticated level of terrorism, and terrorists go to prison. And I documented you. I know your name. There is no statute of limitations. You can hear them stalking by helicopter. This is the same criminal pattern of conduct. You're going to prison. You're going to federal prison. You're losing your bar license. You will never be sitting on another bench. You're going to be sitting on a bench in a cell, but you won't be sitting on a bench as a judge. All right? Those that are gang stalking, Reza Ronagi, playing a DA when I used to work with you at the law offices of Michael Bialis, just having a field day targeting me, thinking that it's funny. Okay, well, I don't think that it's funny when people go to federal prison, and I'm going to remain a professional and not laugh about the fact that you are going to federal prison, sir. Reza Ronagi, you know who you are. Having an inherent and obvious, clear, glaring conflict, which I had to bring up while you're engaging in what is entertaining a fictitious prosecution. It's beyond a malicious prosecution. It's a fictitious one. You don't even have authority. Reza Ronagi is a gang stalker, number one, using his bar license in a gang stalking courtroom, number two, doing so maliciously and doing so as a means of what is psychologically torturing me while I'm subject to literally a fictitious case against the stalkers that are stalking me by helicopter, who are kidnapping me and then bringing me to a corrupt courthouse, which is Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, where demons like Lisa Rogan are then just eradicating, just removing altogether the right to a trial in what is a fake case nonetheless, but I documented it because she's going to prison, and just having me committed altogether. This is what the entity is engaging in. And Reza Ronagi represents somebody that is participating at the entity thought that it was humorous, thought that it was comical, to permit one of my former colleagues with whom I practiced law. In fact, I replaced him while I was hired by Michael Bialis, a gang stalking attorney. Okay, hired me, just like speaker companies, in furtherance of murdering me. Okay, hired me to represent clients who are the people of the state, gang stalking me in furtherance of murder while I'm practicing law. While the gang stalkers who are every courthouse and the corrupt police departments are stalking me the entire time while I'm practicing law, and I am subject to them stalking me, and they're doing so as a means of what is a part of what they're doing while they're showing up to court, and I'm representing the client, and they're a part of that case. They're engaging in what is stalking, and they're engaging in what is a systematic means of what is this corrupt system occurring within the courtroom, within what is the practice of law as well. And these judges, these DAs, these public defenders, and what is the law office that employed me in 2018 engages in this while I'm subject to this state surveillance system. Exactly what the Ontario Police Department is engaging in, this is what I'm subject to while I'm practicing law. And a former colleague, Reza Ronagi, who is engaging in what is a form of psychological torture, who is taking part in what is quote unquote convicting me for criminal activity that I'm not guilty of while this entity is targeting. This is relevant to what is trying to frame me for murder, just creating what is a criminal record regarding what are fictitious prosecutions pursuant to what is stalking, like you hear, like you're witnessing, and the entity committing what is a kidnapping. And this is serving Tracy Banks' purposes. Okay, she's engaged in what is a transaction. Like I said, like I'm chattel, and you're selling me. Okay, this is somebody that's, again, very mentally ill. You're mentally ill to even engage in that sort of transaction. Whatever gang members whatever cult members, and this is relevant to those that are not Christians, they are not Christ followers, these Masons, that's a cult. Okay, that is the Jezebel spirit. They're highly sexed homosexuals that are engaging in what is this corrupt system of gang stalking. It's demonic activity, and this is what relevant to Tracy Banks's affiliations. While you are selling me as chattel, and the city of Ontario has been compensated to target me. This is what's behind the entity that's engaging in that, stalking me by plane, which is no controversy. It's no conspiracy theory. All right, it's no hallucination. That's relevant to the entity trying to frame me for murder. And how was that? Because you thought that gang stalking an American citizen, gang stalking me, and I've argued even more, it's clearly not making me look crazy. You see how crazy, how psychotic they are. But this is the entity's pattern of kind of how it usually goes. You gang stalk, and then you can falsely depict that person as crazy because they're not supposed to have any evidence to prove it. Simultaneously, the entity is trying to frame me for murder. So while you're defaming my character and gang stalking me, which you thought was going to result in one certain way, this is the entity that's gearing up to take my life, to murder me. To not only frame me for murder, but I'm such a horrible person. I'm a murderer. I'm a child molester. I am an abuser. I am mentally ill. I'm a criminal, which is what the Ontario police can vouch to all the times that they're arresting me for criminal conduct that I'm just engaging in willy-nilly. Okay, this is the entity that's gearing up to commit murder. That's why you're going from criminal defamation to what is federal prison, because criminal defamation is committed by the entity that is targeting you. That's the entity that plans to murder you, that plans to kidnap you while they set you up by defaming your character. The government says that you're a bad person. Nobody questions the government. And that's why the P.O.C. is so imperative. Okay, the entity that is stalking as an airport, they're doing so in furtherance of murder. They're doing so with regard to what is a failed campaign. You are all looking at the fact that nobody is making up anything about stalking. Now, what is Mike Lorenz accomplishing? He's delusional. This has been an outrageous, a spectacular return to sender, because you are seeing and witnessing the entity that is mentally ill, the population of those who are demon-possessed, who are mentally ill, who are psychotic. And in the face of that, you're still engaging. And you know why? Because they don't have any other plan. There is no plan B. There's never been a need for a plan B. This has never not worked. And it's not working now. And so now you get to hear the whole story. The whole story. The whole story is that Mike Lorenz has planned and has engaged and is literally stalking me as an agency, because he has plotted to conspire my murder by framing me for murder. Murder that I have nothing to do with. Murder that's occurring while I'm kidnapped by this entity. Murder that's occurring while I am documenting myself. As I document this entity, it's evidence of where I'm at and what I'm doing at the same time. It's covering all bases. It's impossible that I have anything to do with the murder that this entity, that Mike LORENZ, is responsible for. That's, by the way, is antithetical to what a police officer, a chief of police is, by the way. And it's relevant to the entity that is, in fact, gang stalking. There is no, why are you gang stalking me in the first place? That's absolutely why. Okay? The entity's engaging in this. Alan D. WAPNER is going to federal prison. Alan D. WAPNER tried to frame me for murder by gang stalking me. Southwest Airlines tried to frame me for murder by gang stalking me. Amazon Prime tried to frame me for murder by gang stalking me. The Ovid Family Community Library, Sean Thrasher, tried to frame me for murder by gang stalking me, kidnapping me, discriminating against me, falsely accusing me, engaging in criminal summoning against me. He's engaging in what is trying to frame me for murder. Murder that this entity, ask Tracy Banks about murder. Ask her. Ask her about murder. Ask her in the courtroom, because she's going to lie. She's going to lie outside of a courtroom, but she's weak. And she's not going to do very well on the stand. She's not going to do well in a closed space with federal investigators. She's not going to do well there. She's not going to do well in a cell when somebody comes to visit her and ask her a question. She's not going to do well there. She's not going to do well at all. Ask her about murder. While this entity tried to frame me, and this is the same entity that's gang stalking me. Now take a step back and let's revisit the facts as to someone like myself that's maintaining the P.O.C. Okay, who I am and my character and my ability speaks for itself. Not to say that there are not highly intelligent and capable people that engage in egregious criminal acts, but there are indicators regarding what's wrong with them in the first place. Meaning, any case that I look into, and where you look at that, there are always signs that before that happened, there was an indicator that something was wrong. Like I'm showing you with the demon possessed. You are not surprised, in fact, when, like I said, gym teachers are having sexual relationships with the high school students at the school. I'm showing you the fact that they're demons. They're monitoring spirits. They're not actually even concerned about the education of the youth. They're engaged in surveillance. They engage in surveillance under the guise of maintaining secondary schooling for minors, where the minors are engaging in surveillance. They're doing so with the city of Ontario. The airport is engaging in gang stalking with the youth. The police department is engaged in gang stalking with the youth. The fire department is engaged in gang stalking with the youth. The people of the state are engaged in gang stalking with their own kids. They don't care about their education. They're not out here monitoring and maintaining surveillance because they want them to be well read. It's very important, and it's more beneficial for these demons who are under the age of majority to not know how to read, which is the case. They're getting dumber and dumber, and that's deliberate. Because Satan doesn't need you to know how to read. Satan wants you to be monitoring. He wants you to be stalking. And that's exactly what the youth are doing in California. They have their communication devices, and they're walking around prepubescent vagina monitors. They're sex offenders. They're stalkers. I'm using that example regarding the entity that's engaging in what is providing clear indication about those who are a threat. That is absolutely absent from my record. And it is relevant, as I've shown you. You don't have to be a believer, but you cannot deny the evidence. It is Christ himself that is literally causing you to bear witness regarding the truth of what it is that I speak. You cannot deny the fake son. You cannot deny it. You cannot deny the evidence. It is science. Science itself is bearing witness. Okay? And your common sense. It's so idiotic, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. You cannot deny this truth. It is in scripture. It's undeniable. And it is factual. And it's not about your opinion. And it's not about where you stand on Christ. It is a testimony to his reality. He's alive and well. He is on the throne. And this is relevant to bearing witness and giving indication about whether someone, okay, you're not talking about fake Christians like Masons who are gang stalking, who are selling people and selling, thinking that they can sell somebody's destiny and destiny swap. Okay, that was a bust. A whole bunch of people going to prison because you thought that that was going to work. But anyway, the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and this is relevant regarding what is history of and who that person is and the fruits that they bear. There is absolutely, in other words, in my life, absolutely no evidence that I have ever and never even thought about it. Okay. I mean, unless I watch 48 Hours, I watch all sorts of crimes that people have engaged in, but never in my life. And the fact that the entity is conspiring this in the background, unbeknownst to me, while I'm a whole college student, I am financing my own education, and I don't have to go down my resume because I don't have to defend myself. It speaks for itself, who I am and who I've always been. But you can look at Eric Spencer's record. You can look at Jason Fields' record. You can look at Tracy Banks's record. Look at their background. Not just look at the surface, but dig deep into who they are. Dig deep into the things that they've done. Tommy Allen Banks. Dig deep into their accomplishments, what they've actually done versus what they claim and how they represent themselves, how they present themselves. Look deep into what the Ontario Police Department actually are, because I'm showing you the truth. Then you're going to contrast that with what they are representing as though they're protecting and serving. No, they're not. Not what they're supposed to be under the law. No, they're not. What the people of the state actually are versus what they want you to perceive them as. This is an entity that's engaging in what is the unthinkable, accusing an absolutely innocent person. And believe me, I'm giving voice to that which has happened to other people who are already 6 feet under, who are sitting around there, a vegetable somewhere, kidnaps, and they don't even know that they've been wronged because they've been drugged and it's been years and no one's going to know what happened to them. They're a vegetable somewhere. They've been kidnapped. Those that have been sentenced to death and they were innocent of the crime that they were convicted of. Okay, this is the threat that Lisa Rogan and Brody and Thomas Garza pose, sitting on the bench. Okay, Shannon Dykes poses as a sheriff, maintaining criminal surveillance in order to frame American citizens, maintaining these jail facilities that are gang stalkers. The threat that Mike Lorenz and Derek Williams pose, maintaining terrorist organizations that are not police officers, they're stalkers. And I'm literally getting the evidence of that. Okay, this is where all of those facts are tying in together. Because it starts right here. You don't even have any legitimacy. You're stalking me. And the reason why they're stalking, this entity sought to and failed miserably at trying to frame me for murder. That's why Alan D. Wapner and the commercial airline companies are stalking me. And that's all proven. So now you're talking about what's proven. I've already proven that. Why then? This is what we're going to go into. This entity tried to frame me for murder. Did you know that? Did you know that? They tried to frame me for murder while I'm prosecuting criminal conduct, while I'm outlining and exposing public corruption. That is a level of hypocrisy that is demonic, if that were the case. And I want to be clear, no person is able to do that. You're not able to do that. If this was fake, if this was not real, if I was putting on some sort of act, that would have been seen a long time ago, especially because the U.S. government is my stalker. The U.S. government has unclean hands. The U.S. government has been watching and is watching now, and they know who committed murder and who did not. This is what's relevant to the Ontario police stalking me by helicopter at the drop of a dime. While I document the people of the state are the ones that commit murder. Tracy Banks is the one that's guilty of murder. Mike Lorenz is the one that's guilty of murder. A police department that's not interested in truth and actually investigating and getting to the bottom of that. Oh no, they know who's responsible. They're gang stalking me, trying to frame me for that. That's also why Mike Lorenz is going to prison, and why whoever is related to him, whoever relies on his paycheck, you're not getting anything. I'm getting all that money. You're not getting it. And that's justice. Mike Lorenz has been in a campaign to commit murder. He's a murderer. He's a criminal. He's a sex offender. He's a stalker. He's a hypocrite. He's a demon. He's a psychopath who is still targeting. As of April 15, 2000, it's about to be April 15 right now. As of April 15, 2026, and this demon knows that he's been documented, knows that he's surrounded by evidence. You know why? Because it's very, very serious. Because they're engaging in criminal conduct that goes even beyond gang stalking. And gang stalking is domestic terrorism. That's as bad as it gets, but there's more. There's more. Sex trafficking, murder, trying to conceal that murder, trying to put it on someone else, the person that they're gang stalking. In the same way, everyone that's engaged in the pattern of conduct, the city of Fontana, the city of Los Angeles, the city of San Diego, the city of Bakersfield, they are going to be federally prosecuted for conspiring my murder, for engaging in sex. They are going to be federally prosecuted for the totality of the crime. And the entity is targeting. This is why you don't go in on criminal activity with anybody under any circumstances, because you're going down for the whole thing. And I don't care about somebody, some some kook out in Kern County talking about, well, I didn't know nothing about, well, you go into federal prison for it, bruh. Whoever you are. If you break the law, you violate those rules, it's federal prison. And I documented Kern County gang stalking me by helicopter under a fake sun, outside of the driver's side of my vehicle, which is an impossible occurrence, especially while the entity's keeping it over me in San Bernardino County, anywhere, let alone over the Ovid Family Community Library from sunrise until sunset. This is an entity that's going to produce, you're going to produce it, you're going to produce your own identity. You are going to prison. You're literally going to be stabbed, waving your hand up, oh, that was me. That was me. And you're going to prison. It's going to be just like that. You're going to federal prison. You're going to federal prison for conspiring my murder, whether you realize it or not. That's not a requirement under the law. You did the crime. You did the crime and you're going to prison for it. This is an entity that tried to frame me, the one who is bringing forth and speaking to what it needs to be justice had, and tried to accuse me of murder. While you're a whole vagina monitor, you literally have zero legitimacy. You are a stalker, a hardcore professional stalker, a demon-possessed one, a mentally ill one. You're intellectually incompetent. You're a liar for life. Like, that's what you do. You wake up and you lie to yourself, and then you lie to everybody else. And they try to frame me for murder. And you know why? Because this is the reality of this beast system. The entity makes up reality, whatever serves their purposes, and all the gang members jump in on that, and that's how they create what is reality. All the gang members agree on it, and that's how they come up with what happened and what the facts are. And that's just absurd, because that does not, as I've shown you, as I've proven, I don't care how many gang members you have, because the facts remain the facts, and Satan can't deal with that, can't cope with it. And so Satan then shows you Satan then shows you his real character, the fact that he's an unstable psychopath who then persists to engage in what is stalking, flying in circles by helicopter. And Satan's been a psychopath the entire time. Satan just didn't want you to know that, didn't want you to see that, didn't want you to identify that. And I've been stating that the whole time before you were able to suspect it. And as I document, I unveil what are demons that are surrounding, engaging in unthinkable criminal activity, and then you can see the demons yourself. And demons they are. This is not just trying to, quote unquote, call them bad figures. I'm not figuratively speaking. These are demon-possessed people. They have the spirit of Satan that possesses them. It compels them. It animates them. Satan is speaking through them and acting through them. And Satan has also deceived them. Because it is very clear with regard to what is a criminal case, which is what matters. Oh, there is zero evidence that's supporting that I committed any murder, number one. But number two, there is zero. In reality, they were counting on some corrupt way of getting by on this. But the reality is that there is never any criminal activity that a government's going to create, that's engaged in, that's going to create what is a criminal through an innocent person when you have the evidence to prove that. You, in other words, targeting me, which is not a rumor. So the judges are going to be like, okay, well, we don't really know whether or not you were actually targeted. I understand what you're saying, Miss Spencer, but we need more evidence regarding. No, that's not what's happening here. There is hardcore evidence. There is long existing evidence, direct and probative, bombshell evidence. It's already established. It's already proven beyond a reasonable doubt and to a scientific degree. The entity is, in fact, gang stalking me. I've defined it. I've demonstrated it for you. And I've also shown you how they're doing the exact same thing, which is impossible to have that level of a pattern of conduct from place to place to place to place to place, city to city, county to county, state to state. That's impossible in and of itself. It is indeed a pattern of conduct. And that is proven. Not only have I proven that, there is no controversy there. The relevant context is that, so you're targeting. And why exactly are you targeting? Because a court is going to look into that as well. And this is my courtroom. This is the entity. I just want to be clear. This is as clear as you can hear me. This is why I maintain this podcast. Because mere technicalities are not going to stop the evidence that needs to be exposed from being exposed in a courtroom where the entity is seeking to obstruct even your knowledge about a whole system in operation, trying to limit it down to just some bad seeds in a police department. And it's well beyond that. You wouldn't have known that if I didn't go to Kern County, if I didn't go to San Diego County, if I didn't go and live in Los Angeles County and travel back and forth back to Ontario so you could see that fake sun remain over me on the Amtrak train. And getting off in Upland, walking on a specific street in Upland, California, back to the Ontario Town Square where the entity is stalking me tonight by helicopter. If I didn't capture that, you wouldn't even know. It's very specific and it's tailored to me. And there is a motive, there is a criminal purpose as to why you are gang stalking. And it exceeds merely my money. They wanted to strip me of my wealth, which is, again, depriving me of full knowledge of my identity. This is what a government does while they have the benefit of keeping you under surveillance unbeknownst to you. They know who you are, but you don't know who you are. And since they know and you don't know, it makes it more easy for them to steal from you. In fact, they're stealing from you by defaming your character because they know also that you have some abilities to maybe call out demons so effectively that people will actually believe you. And you're not going to be written off as some basket case. This is an entity that, and you know how they know that? Because they are demons, meaning spiritually, they're monitoring me. They're monitoring you. They know if you know Christ Jesus. They know if you're walking with him. They know what it is that you are, where your mind is at, what you're consumed with, what sin you're bound up by. It's the devil. In case you did not know that. The devil is all very much aware of everything that you're into. He's very intimately acquainted with all of your ways. And he wants you in more and more sin. So that's just the reality. The demon possessed, those are the walking, talking employees of Satan. They're minions. And they're out here gang stalking. They're stalking with light, stalking with noise, stalking me in planes and in helicopters. Demon-possessed people that do fly planes and helicopters into bodies of water and call it an accident, fly into mountains, fly into buildings, like what happened to Mr. Bryant. That was not an accident. The demons in Los Angeles have been engaged in surveillance. They are highly unstable. And they engage in what are referred to as sacrifices. And when Satan gives the word, meaning they are told to do by Satan, because that's exactly what they do. Those demons tell them what to do and they do it. This is the threat amongst those that are gang stalking. Gang stalking is happening throughout what is a beast system, the beast system, which is relevant to what is run by Satan. I am not exaggerating when I'm using these terms. This is a satanic environment. The fake sun is over all of us. You are in every state. There's only one sun in the natural environment. The Lord God created the great luminaries, a sun and the moon. That's not what's over us. Okay? Satan is the prince of the air. He's maintained a whole demonic imitation of what God has created. And there's a fake sun over me, which I'm proving through tangible evidence. And you will not be able to successfully defame my character as I document. In fact, the entity that is maintaining that environment and stalking me in it, your mental health, that's what's put into issue, not mine. Not only is the environment putting at issue your mental health, but the fact that you're stalking me in that environment. It's a direct correlation, in fact. And moreover, it's relevant to a lot of like spectacular, outrageous, outlandish, unbelievable false charges like murder. Where did you get that from? Who made that up, and why would they do that? And the point is that this is the motive behind gang stalking me. Gang stalking shall never result in any American citizen being falsely depicted as mentally ill. Gang stalking is not the evidence of mental illness by that targeted individual. In fact, the U.S. government has been maintaining ongoing unlawful experiments against American citizens, and that does not make them crazy. In fact, it makes those that are maintaining those experiments highly dangerous and unstable, mentally unstable, psychopathic, psychotic, antisocial. Those are the type of terms that come up with regard to the entity, not that target, not that targeted individual, whether they have evidence or not. That logically follows, because you are speaking to experiences that you've had and you cannot give some medical professional evidence of it. That is not evidence to defame your character, to diagnose you without your consent and force you to be on medication and force you into any sort of facility. This is exactly what the entity is doing amongst this beast system. And doing so while they are fully engaged, I'm showing you how malicious it is. They're not doing that ignorantly for your well-being. They're doing that while they are a part of targeting you. This is what San Antonio Regional Hospital, Arrowhead Regional Medical Center are engaging in. And you're going to prison, by the way. Every single last one of you, you're going to prison. You called yourself checking in on me. You called yourself writing up anything. You called yourself diagnosing. You admitted to having any minute. Thank you. Because all that, you're going to prison. You're going to federal prison. Okay? Just want to let you know about that part. But the entities engaged in this, and that's what they represent. That is not evidence of mental illness. That is not the practice of medicine. And I do not have to have a medical degree in order to know that. The practice of law, which is speaking to what is under any circumstances, when you are diagnosing, there are rules, meaning there are standards, there are elements, there are facts and circumstances. I've been through this already. I've already litigated this on this podcast. But there are facts and circumstances which you should be able to articulate clearly, just like you would with reasonable suspicion. What are your facts that are establishing that you have a right to detain this person or to search their property or to look in this area? What are the facts? It's the same thing with the practice of medicine. You don't just say, oh, well, you have bipolar. Okay, what about what? How? That's not the practice of medicine. Because you're in the hospital, because you're dressed up like a patient, because somebody brought you there against your will, because you're there against your will pursuant to criminal conduct of an entity that's targeting you. That's engaging. And then all of this, they're trying to frame you for murder. And the entity is coincidentally, conveniently, intentionally, maliciously, not asking any questions, just writing down whatever needs to be written down to get that ongoing confirmation from the medical field about mental illness. This is serving that ongoing defamation campaign where those in the medical field, San Antonio Regional Hospital, Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, are engaging in criminal defamation and furtherance of my murder and to frame me for murder. That's what's actually going on. And there are a bunch of vagina monitoring gang stalkers who are unfit to be in the medical field at that. Not only are you going to prison, listen up, you're losing whatever it is that you use to target me. Meaning if you're not even a doctor, you're an RN, or you're a certified nurse, or you just have some sort of license or training, some whatever certificate, whatever license, whatever medical board you're on, you're losing it. You will not be using anything like that because you're losing it. This is an entity that's engaged in that, and it is a tremendous, expensive, timely, cooperative effort to target an American citizen, trying to steal a lot of money and property from me. That's what's behind that. And justice requires that a lot of people are going to prison. Because guess what? The unbelievable, the unfathomable, all things are possible with Christ Jesus, including an entire entity going down and not me. This is an entity that engaged in and they made a bargain. They made a wager. And they thought that they were going to sacrifice me. And all of you tuned in. It's absolutely wicked. You tuned in to witness that. I'm going to leave that to the Lord to deal with you and your hearts in that regard. But you tuned in to entertain yourselves and watch someone suffer. And it is a plot twist, glory to God. But that is exactly, and the Lord God knows that that's exactly what you were paying attention to, what you were waiting for, what you were anticipating. In fact, Tracy and her sex partner, Jason, as it feels that like this is Hunger Games, like you're competing for your life, like they have some sort of ability to do that or any right to do that. And that's entertaining for you. Okay, so like I said, this mental illness, it is literally as though it is in the air. It is a spirit. And in case you have not recognized the ways in which you have been intoxicated, you've been seduced by it, you've been brainwashed by it, because that's entirely mentally ill behavior. It's barbaric. It's cruel and inhumane. And there is absolutely no way that there should have even been an audience. But nonetheless, for the glory of God, for you to witness what is a plot twist. And this is somebody that thinks that they're untouchable, like Mike LORENZ. He's going to be touched very much. He's going to prison. He's going to federal prison. All right. And he's going to federal prison for unthinkable criminal acts, including stalking an American citizen by helicopters. Like we're in Baghdad and in Afghanistan. Okay. That's what they're acting like out here in California. This is P.O.C. This is everything that you're mindful of. Every day that I'm going to the library, every day that I get on the bus, every day that I'm documenting license plates while I'm walking through the neighborhood, and you're seeing them provide a glaring, obvious, open, conspicuous evidence that you're clearly stalking. Understand that they are also clearly admitting that they have plotted my murder, and that they're participating in that actively, and that they also have conspired to frame me for murder. Murder that they, as gang stalkers, are responsible for. They're responsible for this murder. They're aware of it, and they are together by gang stalking, by this system, trying to frame me for it. And that is absurd. Gang stalking someone does not, in fact, but for a corrupt court, a corrupt judge, a corrupt system, create what is guilt regarding responsibility for the murder of someone else. But this is what the entity plotted, because this is in fact a corrupt system. And the entity is foolish because they keep giving you evidence and demonstrating every day that this is exactly why they are gang stalking. Not only the fact that they're idiots openly engaging and targeting me. You need to know why Mike LORENZ is targeting, because he tried to frame me for murder, and he's going to prison for it. And his children, his wife, whoever he's with, he may be very much, I'm sure he's a closeted homosexual. He's a demon. All right. But he's engaging in what is maintaining an appearance of stability, whatever that beard looks like, whatever that situation is. You're not getting it. He can't support you for nothing. He can't do anything for you. He's going to lose everything, and it's a matter of justice. I am not the first person he's targeted. I'm the first one that he unsuccessfully framed for criminal conduct that I didn't commit. I'm the first one that he unsuccessfully gang stalked, and I kept my sound mind. In fact, I remained sharper and smarter than him and more capable than him. And I'm also prosecuting and investigating him, something that he does not know how to do. He's a stalker. I'm the first one that he is unsuccessful in murdering, taking my life and kidnapping me. Every day that I spent in jail, pursuant to kidnapping by that agency, he's going to prison for it, and it's going to be multiplied. He's going to federal prison. So I'm not just talking to Mike LORENZ. I'm talking to whoever is relying upon Mike LORENZ, whoever is bold enough to admit to being related to him, associated with him. He's going to prison. He's going to federal prison. You need to know that, because he's delusional about that. You need to come to terms with it. This fool is going to prison. And everyone's going to watch it, and that's a part of justice as well. This is P.O.C. This is behind the entity that's engaging in that. So let me just expound upon that. While the entity is stalking me with light, these demons that are in a parking lot and stalking me in this park, doing so while the entity then pulls out a helicopter while I'm documenting. Every demon that opened their mouth talking about you're going to do X, Y, and Z, you're not going to bust a grape. But while you're talking, you're going to prison for it. Okay, that's the government that's trying to frame me for murder, out here threatening me through these vagina monitoring gang members. And I have it on video. I have it on podcast. Oh, you're going to do what? You're going to what? What are you going to do? I document that on purpose because they're going to prison. They're going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. And it is currently now, it's April 15, 2026. It's 12:15 a.m. It is a do not forget. This is an entity that engages in gang stalking me, pursuant to what is failing. This is the failure a tremendous failure at framing me for murder. That's behind Craig Hazelwood kidnapping me. That's behind Owens kidnapping me. That's behind Vivanco and those gang members kidnapping me at this Ontario Town Square. That's behind the Overfamily Community Library making malicious and false allegations about me being a child molester, about me stalking people. This is the absurdity. Satan will accuse you of what he is guilty of. And this is the entity that's, again, they're doing so because they're embarrassed about the level of evidence. And again, delusional. You're all looking at this. It's like, who do they think is going to believe that? Nobody actually believes you. You're looking at the desperation. This is Satan, though. You need to understand, Satan is nothing but a coward. He is a punk. He is a punk. And you're seeing that as the entity is literally personifying that, acting that out, proving it, demonstrating it. They're cowards. An innocent person of murder so that you can get away with stealing my money because you're mad as a demon that I'm going to call you out, and I'm still going to do my job, and I'm going to keep my foot on your neck in doing so. And you're not getting $1. You're not going to engage in anything against me in front of everybody. You did enough, I want to be clear. But you're not getting my money. You're not going to stop me from leaving here. I'm leaving. You're going to prison. I just want to be clear on that. You could be as mad as you want. Tracy's fuming, okay? You need to be careful because you have a bad heart, sweetie. You need to take care of yourself. You need to focus on, you need to woosah and breathe because you're going to prison. That's what you should be doing. You're delusional, and it was never going to happen. As though you can rebut what the will of God is. That's what's wrong with you. That's exactly what's wrong with you. You've murdered one too many people. You've gotten away with lying on one too many people. And you thought that you were going to be successful because I am clever enough to document and prove before I open my mouth. This is an entity that's engaging in this level of criminal activity. While they are gang stalking to date, they are admittedly engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they are doing so because this entity sought to frame me for murder that it is responsible for. And everyone that's gang stalking is going to be federally prosecuted for seeking to frame me for murder, defaming my character while you act in furtherance of murdering me. You're going to prison for these things. This is P.O.C.